is Mel Miller, and I have been working in the antique restoration furniture business for about 20 years. And one of the things you run into quite frequently is tables, chests, and stands have splits in the tops of the tables. Now, one of the techniques that you use to close this is to fasten it with a wood bow tie, and this stand is an example of this. This stand is a single board top. It has two splits, one from each end in the top of it. I use these two wood bow ties to close the split, and then I refinish the top. As you can see, the top it's hard to see with the naked eye where these splits occurred. I'm down in my workshop, and I have selected a board to as an example of a split that would occur in the top of a chest or a stand or a table. And I will illustrate how I go through the process of closing this split and using a bow tie. Now, I've made up a bow tie out of wood that is in the shape that you would normally use. And I will take the next step of getting prepared for using the Dremel tools as I go through the process of installing this bow tie. The next step I have used would be to clamp the crack closed in the board, and to use the bow tie and draw along the bow tie as closely as you can the outline of the bow tie. In both cases, I've used two bow ties to close the crack. So the next step will now be to take the clamps off, route the shape not quite to the outside, because then you got to use a hand chisel to chisel the final shape into the board. I usually route to a depth of about half the board thickness. So the next step will be to route the outline of the bow tie. I have finished making the first rough outline of the bow tie shape into the piece of wood, and now, as you can see, I need to chisel the exact shape and now also fit the bow tie into the opening. To do this in the final shape, I need to clamp the board back together and make sure the fit is as tight and as carefully as possible. This is the first one, and this would be the second one. Using the Dremel router and also a hand chisel, I have clamped the board back together and installed the bow tie. Now I will unclamp the board, and you can see that the board stays together, the split stays together, and allowing the glue to dry, which I haven't put in yet, will stabilize the board, and now you can use it for a long time.